Welcome everyone to this session on the Master Education and Child Studies for international students. I am Marielle Linting. I am the Director of Studies at Education and Child Studies, and I will try to tell you a little bit about all of the different master specializations that are present in this master, and also about the research master that we have. Of course, you have been able to watch the online videos prior to this session, so I hope that you were all able to do that. But I will start in a few minutes to briefly refresh your memory on that and to tell you a little bit about these specializations and also about the research master. But that will be very brief. So afterwards, there will be plenty of room for questions. And if you have questions during the presentation, please ask them by using the question and answer button. And if you have questions after the presentation, you can also go to the chat or email a study advisor. So we will be able to answer all your questions at one time or another. So we are here to talk about education and child studies, and we have two master programs. The first one is the general master program. It's called Education and Child Studies. And the second one is the research master program, which is called Developmental Psychopathology in Education and Child Studies. And if you want detailed information, of course, I can refer you to the videos. What's important to note before we go any further is that neither of these two programs will make you a child therapist on its own. So if you only do one of these master programs, you will not be a child therapist at the end. If you want to be a child therapist in the Netherlands, you need a professional registration, and you can only get that if you do a particular combination of bachelor courses and master courses. So for Dutch students, it might be possible to become a child therapist if they have the correct courses from the bachelor, in combination with some courses from the master. So if you are an international student and you did your studies in another country, you will not be able to get the Dutch professional registration based only on one of these master programs. So that's one important thing to realize before we go any further. So what can you become if you follow one of these programs? Well, there are plenty of possible career options. For instance, you can be an educational programs designer, you can develop apps, you can make policy, you can become a PhD student, at least if you do the research master. So there are very many different possibilities to make a career in this area. Well, it might be a good idea to just tell you a little bit more about the differences between the master and the research master program. Of course, the most obvious difference is that the master program is just 1 year and the research master program is a 2-year program. So that's quite obvious. But of course, in content, there's also some difference. If you do the master, the regular master program, then you become a pedagogue or educationalist with a very strong analytic perspective. So you know a lot about doing research, and you know about how to do that yourself and how to interpret research results. And you have some proper scientific research skills. So you are at first a pedagogue or educationalist with these research skills. And you can choose from 5 different specializations in which you want to develop those skills. If you do the research master, you become a researcher at first. So this is the core of what you become, a researcher. And that researcher has proper knowledge of the practice of education and child studies. So it's a different focus. And if you do the research master, you will learn more advanced scientific research skills. And in learning that, you will also always make the connection between research and society, and research and the application of that research in society. And Then if you are an international student, you can choose from 3 different profiles. If you are a Dutch student, you can choose from 6 different profiles. I will tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. So those are the most important differences. If you do the master, you become a pedagogue or educationalist. If you do the research master, you become a research master at the core, a researcher. So if you look at the curriculum, then there's also a big difference. This is the curriculum for a regular master, and this is overall for all specializations. So it's a little bit general, because within each specialization you will get a different schedule, of course. But this is overall the idea. Each of the specializations starts with the same course on research, which is called the practice of empirical research. And then you have some specialization courses, in most cases 4 or 5. And you have an internship and a thesis. And the ECs that you can get for the internship and the thesis differ per specialization. If you want to know more about that, please check the website, where you can find all the courses for each specialization separately. And this is also all within 1 year. So the research master curriculum is spread across 2 years. And here we see the green courses. Those are all focused on doing research, getting to know what research is, practicing it yourself, designing your own research, and a meeting with other researchers within the institute, for instance, in the research colloquia. So this is all research, the entire green part. The yellow part, the internship and the profiles, are the substantive part. So those are on the field of education and child studies. And you can choose from different profiles depending on which part of the field you find the most interesting. So there's a large research part, and there's a bit smaller practice part. And then, of course, the thesis brings it all together. So these profiles in the Research Master are kind of packages of courses. And 3 of these courses are set by us. So we say you can do these 3, and you can add 2 other courses from a list to those 3 courses. So you have some room to add your own interests to the profile. And all of these profiles are substantive, and they relate to the theory and the professional field of education and child studies. Well, for international students, we have 3 profiles that are available. Those are also available to Dutch students, but they are entirely in English. They are focused on educational science, on parenting and child development, or on applied neuroscience in human development. And then you do, within these profiles, you do courses together with the students from that particular master specialization. For Dutch students, there are also 3 other profiles available that are more focused on the clinical part of the field. And those are partly given in Dutch. So that is why they are not accessible for international students who do not speak Dutch. If you want to know more about the specific courses that you can choose from, you can find those on the website. So for all master programs, for both master programs, I should say, we have, of course, an internship and a thesis. And for the research master, as well as for the regular master program, the internship is a practical internship, mostly with an external organization, so not within the university. And research master students will do a specific assignment to make the connection between research and the practice that they get to know within their internship. Well, the thesis is also shows some similarities between the 2 programs. all students join a research project at the Institute of Education and Child Studies. So the master's program is within university. And then you write your thesis about data collected in that project. And you get the chance to formulate your own research question within that particular context. And research master students will handle some more complex questions, and also they will operate a little bit more independently when doing the project. So we will expect a little bit more of the research skills from our research master students, which is, of course, why the program is so focused on doing research. So to get them all together, these are the specializations or programs that you can choose from. We have parenting and child development, digital media in human development, educational science, learning problems and impairments, applied neuroscience and human development, and of course, the research master. And I can understand that you might have some questions on one of these specific specializations, and we can answer those, of course, after the presentation. So if you want to ask questions, you can do that right now or afterwards, like I said before, and do not hesitate to contact us when you have any questions left. So thanks for the attention for this presentation, and I think now we will go through to the questions.
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. I just heard that the link maybe wasn't very clear for students, so I just want to share it again. To ask your questions, you can go to parenting-en.joinlive.tv, and there you can send in your questions. Maybe everyone who's here, who's ready to answer questions, can introduce themselves a little bit, so the students can know who's here ready to answer their questions. Maybe we can start off with the student who's here. Larissa, can you start off?
Yes. Oh, hi everyone. My name is Larissa, and I am a student from the specialization Parenting and Child Development. So if you have any questions about what it was like for me to study, or what studying is like, yeah, you can ask those questions to me.
And then maybe someone else can start, maybe Karin.
Yes, thank you. My name is Karin Nelissen. I am program manager at the Institute of Education and Child Studies, which means that I'm responsible for all the organizational aspects, and also present, but you cannot see her, is one of our study advisors, Jackie Bauer, and you can also ask your questions to Jackie. Maybe Carlijn can introduce herself.
Yes, thank you, Karin. My name is Carlijn Bergwerf, and I'm assistant professor, and I'm involved in several courses, including the courses in Master Digital Media, and I'm also a coordinator of the Master Applied Neuroscience. So I've talked a lot to international students, so if you have any questions regarding their experience of previous years, just let me know.
Thank you for the introduction. We're going to start off with the first question, and that is, how much time does the program take during a week? Maybe Larissa can tell us how she experiences this.
Yeah, for me it was the way my specialization program was set was that you have in the first semester all of your courses. So in my experience that was very busy actually. So you should make sure that you have enough time and energy to do all of that. After that, you will have some more, at least time to kind of fill in yourself when you will do your work, because then for me it was an internship and the thesis that you have to do. And then there's a little more room to decide yourself, well, when you will do that. If you decide to do both at the same time, it can be quite busy. I decided myself that I wanted to do my thesis first and then my internship after. So, so I could make sure that I did have some more time. So it really depends also where you are in the year. Like in the beginning, it's a lot more busy in my experience, and later it will be you will have a bit more free time if you choose that.
Okay, thank you. And is this also the same for the research master?
Well, for the research master, I think that the program is quite demanding. There are quite a lot of papers and assignments that they have to make. So I think that it is good to prepare if you want to do the research master, prepare for well, quite a busy schedule. But well, the upside of that is that they also learn a lot in quite a small amount of time. So it's a very interesting program, but it's also quite demanding. So it's good to be prepared.
Okay, thank you so much. The next question we have is, I think, a question that a lot of students are wondering right now, and that is about if it's possible to join the program online, especially during the hybrid studying or online studying. How will that be next year?
Yes, of course, a very understandable question. Well, of course, we cannot predict how the world will be next fall, but the idea is that the basis of our programs is in Leiden. So you cannot join the entire program online from abroad, for instance. We will at least be trying to do all of the courses in Leiden again, maybe with a little bit of digital help sometimes, but not entirely to be followed online. So I think that that is a very important thing to say right now, so that students are not starting this program with false expectations about the possibilities to join online.
Larissa, can you maybe share what it's like to study in Leiden?
Yes, sure. Even though my experience of the master might not be as what it will be next year, because when I started with the masters, it was in the middle of the pandemic, so I did everything online. But yeah, in my experience, at least if I can speak for the bachelor, if it's a bit more similar, like you have some like lectures at the faculty and work groups, and there's a lot. Yeah, I quite enjoyed studying in Leiden and meeting up with other students, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it, because yeah, also I didn't do the masters in person there, of course, but yeah, no, I had a very good experience studying in Leiden. Yeah.
Okay, great to hear. Thank you. Just looking through the questions. The next question is about the internships. Maybe we can first start off with Larissa, and maybe you can explain how to find an internship, how is an internship, what it's like, and how did you experience this?
Yeah, for us, it was very much our own choice where you want to do your internship, and it was also our own responsibility to find an internship spot and well do a job interview. In my experience, yeah, I did feel the urge to start early, and I'm glad I did, because it was well not specifically difficult to find a good internship place, because I did find one in the end. There's also a lot of choice, and yeah, I would just say also just don't only look for like vacancies, but also just like contact well companies, or see if just ask if they want an intern at all. Yeah, and also you have to look for an internship place yourself, but there's also a lot of input from the university that give you tips or helpful advice for companies that you can look to. So you're not completely your own. Yeah, so yeah, that went quite well in my experience.
Nice to hear a good experience. Maybe that will calm the nerves a little bit about finding an internship. Do you have to find an internship in the Netherlands, or can you do an internship abroad if you're an international student?
Well, in some cases, students have done an internship abroad. for instance, if they come from, let's say, Indonesia, they might want to do an internship in Indonesia, but in many cases that does cost more work, because then the place that you do the internship has to meet particular criteria. They have to be able to guide the students in the right way during this internship. And we have to check that because we are responsible as the University of Leiden. So it's not that easy to find a really good internship place abroad, but it can be done, and it has been done by some students. But if you want to do that, address that very early on in your program and talk about it with, for instance, Shaki, who knows a lot about international students as well. So she can guide you very well. But it's not that easy, but doable.
Okay, thank you for the information. Do we maybe have some examples of internships for the students?
Maybe I can give some examples. So I'm the coordinator of the Master Specialization Applied Neuroscience, and these students also will do a research internship. And often these students do a research internship within our institute. So they join one of the research projects, so then it's easier to find a research internship. But they also sometimes find an external internship position, such as at a hospital or a different university or a research institute in the Netherlands. So that's a possibility. And for the more practical internships from students of the Master Digital Media, I think some of the students joined a company who developed e-health interventions. So it was quite interesting. So they could combine their interest in technology with their knowledge on clinical healthcare. Others did their internship in a company who was working with virtual reality. So there are many possibilities, and often these companies are quite glad to find these students because it's a quite specific knowledge, especially in this time, that you can use your knowledge on digital interventions or digital educational programs. So for these students, it's quite easy to find an internship.
Nice to hear that there are many possibilities. We're almost through our questions, so if you have any questions left, feel free to ask them. Oh, I really see some pop up. Here we have a question from Tamara. Is it possible to do a research master specifically in the area of learning problems and impairments?
Well, you can, the Research Master is a program as a whole, and as you might have seen during the presentation, you can choose a particular profile. And in this profile, if you want to do something about learning problems and impairments, then you could do two things. If you are an international student, you choose educational science, and then add some extra courses on learning problems. But if you are a Dutch student, you can also do some Dutch courses in leerproblemen, then what it's called. So you can, within the profile, make choices that fit that interest as well as possible, but you cannot do the specialization learning problems and impairments. That's a different thing. But the courses that you will follow within that profile will be from that same specialization, but not the entire specialization. So there is room, if you have these interests, to do that within the program of the Research Master. But if you want to do that specialization and are not really interested in becoming a researcher per se, then I would say do the specialization learning problems and impairments. So it depends on what you want to be in the future, what fits the best.
Thank you for your answer. We have a follow-up question from... Oh.
Maybe I can add something that even in the Research Master, if you choose the right courses in your profile, it's possible to qualify for the NVO registration, the Professional Dutch registration.
Yes, and that is only that's what I was trying to say also in the presentation. That can be done. So you can get a Dutch professional registration as orthopedagoog or as a pedagogue, but then you need a particular bachelor courses that you followed before. So it's a combination of bachelor courses and master courses. But if you did a bachelor in Leiden already on education and child studies, then the research master can add the right courses to that, and you can get the professional registration. So that is a good addition. Thanks, Karin.
Yes, thank you so much. And we have a follow-up question from Tamara. I live close by. Is it possible to come to visit the program and speak with someone in person about my specific interests and situations to make the best program selection for me?
Yes, that's possible. Absolutely. You can make an appointment with one of our study advisors by mailing the address you see right now, and one of them will answer you and invite you for an interview about the questions you have.
Okay, thank you. Then we have a question from Laura about, let's see, about the admission. Laura says, hi, I'm wondering how hard it is to be admitted into the masters and follow once you've been admitted. If you haven't done a bachelor in that field, in my case, I had a lot of psychology courses, but the rest of my knowledge in the field of child development comes from my personal interest.
Okay. Jackie, would you like to answer that question, or shall I answer it? Yeah. Well, okay. If you do have completed a different bachelor program than the bachelor program Pedagogische Wetenschappen at Leiden University, you have to fill in an application. And the admissions board will carefully assess your application and decide whether you can be admitted directly or whether you need to do some extra courses or maybe a complete pre-master's program in order to be admitted. That's the procedure for the regular one-year master. The procedure for the research master is a bit different because it's a selective master's program. So there is a bit different set of entry requirements, and also you will have a special interview to see whether you are a good match with the research master.
Yes, please let us know if you have any more questions after this. Also, the study advisors will be available during the chat button, or you can always send an email to them, which has been shown before.
Evelien, I actually have a question from another student who contacted me in the chat because she told me that the Q&A button doesn't work for her. So maybe that's what's happening to some other students as well. I'm not sure.
Yes, we heard that in the beginning, but I'm also looking at Ilse a little bit, who's behind the scenes. I think the problem has been solved by now. We had some contact.
Yeah, the problem has been solved. Yes.
Okay,
So,
I hope so. Well, at least I have a question from another student that I don't know the answer to, but someone else might. The question is it possible to specialize in epilepsy within the Master Applied Neuroscience?
Well, interesting question. And as it's good to know, I think that the courses are a bit broader, so they're going into the full breadth of the neurodevelopmental aspects. But I think it's interesting to find out whether you can do a research internship that is specific on this topic. Maybe not within our institute, but then you can always try to reach out to other researchers or other universities and check with me as the coordinator of the master specialization whether that topic fits the program. Same holds for the thesis. So I think you can give it your own twist or match your own interest, but it's good to know that the courses are a bit broader than only one condition, such as epilepsy.
Thank you for answering. Larissa, please let me know if there are any more questions during this, but I also see some questions here, so this button seems to be working. We have a question from Lucia. The admission requirements for applied neuroscience and human development mostly mention studies in the context of educational studies. Could you still apply if you have done a research master in neuroscience?
Okay, let me see if I understand this correctly. You are doing or have nearly finished a research master's program, and after that you would like to apply for our one-year master's program, and then for the specialization applied neuroscience. Well, I think you would make a good chance to be admitted, but there are some practical obstacles maybe, because if you have completed a master's program and you want to do another master's program, this will have some financial consequences, because the second master, in any case in the Netherlands, is a lot, costs a lot more tuition fee. So maybe I think the best thing you can do is email our study advisors and discuss this in some more detail.
Yes, I think that's the best thing they can do, and hopefully they will do that to discuss their situation. And the next question we have is from Mara. Mara says, hello, I am getting my bachelor in psychology in Maastricht. All my courses are in English. Do you perhaps know if I still need a language certificate or not?
Well, the answer is very short. No, you do not need a language certificate, because you completed a program in English, and if you obtained your secondary education degree in the Netherlands, that's also already enough to be admitted. That is to meet the language requirements.
Okay, that's a very clear answer. Thank you. For the students who maybe don't see the Q&A button yet, it may help to refresh the page, and then the button will pop up. So if you have any questions, please try to refresh the page, and then the Q&A button will pop up. Larissa, did you get any questions in the chat?
I don't think so. No. Not from students who weren't able to ask them, I think.
Okay, then we will give them a little bit more time to maybe find a new Q&A button. But in the meantime, I still have one more question. How soon will you be able to find a job after graduation? Also very important thing, of course.
Carlijn, do you want to answer that question?
Yeah, so I think it depends whether you're a Dutch student or an international student. So if you're a Dutch student who did a master's here, recent research shows that a very high percentage of the students, I think over 90% of students, will find a relevant job within a couple of months. So that's quite promising. And that's also my personal experience from the students who graduated recently from either applied neuroscience, orthopedic, or digital media. Often these students already had a job before graduating, because they could get a job at the place where they did their internship. And from the international students, I'm not quite sure that if you go back to your home country, whether it's easy to find a job. The students I'm still in contact with often did find a relevant job quite easily. but I cannot guarantee that for all students, of course. But I think if you can just show which are your qualities, such as for the Master Digital Media, it's quite easy to show which are your what are your skills or your knowledge. Same holds for applied neuroscience, but you still need to find something that matches your interest. But there are several jobs either in research or policy or in app developers or e-health companies. So many different possibilities to find a job.
Thank you for your optimistic answer. We have one more question from Ciara. I do not have a bachelor in education and youth, but I have a number of years of experience working in the youth sector. Do admissions take your professional experience into consideration? I am interested in digital media and human development.
Well, it's always helpful to have work experience, but work experience cannot replace the entry requirements in terms of the degree, the bachelor's degree we require. So please read our entry requirements carefully. They're on the website, but you need to have a bachelor degree which meets our entry requirements in terms of courses of research methods and statistics in social and behavioral sciences, and also in substantive knowledge. So that's carefully assessed when you apply, and the Board of Admissions will study all information you give, but you need to have a bachelor degree acquired at a university.
Okay, we have another question about admission from Karina. I'm currently taking a bachelor in early childhood education. Will that be enough to be admitted to the course? Also, from what I have understood, this program seems more relevant for children in school rather than children in the kindergarten, which is what I'm hoping to make a profession out of. Will you say this program is relevant for young children?
Yes, it's relevant for all sorts of children and people who are involved in raising children or teaching children. From the sound of it, but it's maybe a personal question you should discuss with the study advisors also. It sounds like you are at this moment following a more professional bachelor degree. And it's difficult to understand, but in the Netherlands there is a distinction between academic bachelor degrees and more applied professional bachelor degrees. And in order to be admitted to our master programs, both of them, you need to have a bachelor degree which you obtain at an academic university and not an applied university. But to say more definite things about your eligibility, we need to know more about your bachelor degree. So please contact our study advisors per email.
Thank you, Karin. Then we have a few questions about the specific specializations. The first one is from Alberto. I would like to ask about the specialization learning problems and impairments. Could you explain a little bit more about learning and instruction course?
I think you're referring to the specialization learning problems and impairments, the international track. In this specialization, there's offered a combination of courses about learning problems and impairments. We go into both problems that occur during learning, so dyslexia, dyscalculia, but also the way into the way in which more developmental impairments influence your ability to fully profit from the school. That's one side of the international program. The other side is about courses in our master specialization educational sciences. So that's more on the individual process of learning. So that how does the individual child learn? And also on instructions in classes and what we know about it, what are effective ways of instructing children from various ages, and which methods are less effective.
Thank you, Karin. The next question is from Marcella, and she says, "Hi, I would like to know a little bit more about digital media and human development. What kind of subjects are they going to teach in this specialization? Thanks."
Maybe I can start off with explaining one of the courses. One of the courses is called Digital Applications in Mental Health Care. That is one course in which we discuss how you can use e-health and apps and other aspects of digital applications to treat children and adolescents, for instance, with ADHD or depression. So how can the mental health care benefit from all the novel technologies? But in the other courses, it is more focused on the opportunities and risks of digital media, such as using social media. So these are two aspects that I know of. So maybe one of the others can add to that if they are familiar with the courses. But otherwise, I would just refer you to the prospectus. There you can read all about the courses, so also about the content, but also how it's assessed, so which kind of exams or papers. But also in one of the courses you will develop your own digital application or your own app, so quite interesting, I would say.
Yeah, well, maybe I can add that in the other two courses attention is paid to the use of digital tools and media in educational settings at schools, and also we have quite a strong specialization in the use of digital media during learning to read, and how useful are digital tools during that process.
Thank you, Karin and Carlijn. The next question is from Marit. Hi, are the courses of the specialization Applied Neuroscience and Human Development all in English? And what kind of job could you be doing once you graduated in this specialization? Do you have any examples?
Yes, we start off, all courses are taught in English. And the jobs you can find, so one of the students who did the Applied Neuroscience Master is now working at a company who develops an app for children with cognitive problems. So train children to focus or to train their memory. Other examples are students who started working at the government and to define the policy on education, on how the brains of children and adolescents develop and how education should be adapted to that. There are also some students who are now doing a PhD. So even though it's not a research master, it's still possible to obtain a PhD position, because within this master specialization you will be doing a research internship, so you get some hands-on experience on doing research. Other students, they started working at a school where they could use their knowledge on how the brain works and how it develops and how it should be, the education should be adapted to it. sometimes people also start working in clinical practice, but that's only possible if they also completed a clinical master. So if you're only doing this more practical master in applied neuroscience, then you cannot work in clinical practice.
Thank you for the examples. Our next question is from Madelief. I have an HBO Bachelor of Education, and if I understood correctly, I need to take part in the pre-master pedagogische wetenschappen first.
That's completely correct. I can be very short about it. If you want to know more about the pre-master's program, you can join our next presentation, and probably you already are planning to do that.
So maybe we will see you there in a bit.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Alberto. I'm in the process of getting C1 advanced exam, but I'm not sure if I will be able to do the exam before the application deadline. Can I present it after applying for the master?
That's a very technical question. I think you can apply before you took the exam, but you need to hand in proof of your Dutch proficiency, because that's what you're referring to before. Shaki, help me. Is it 15 June?
Yes, before June 15, or maybe it becomes first. No, June 15. Yes.
Yeah. But more detailed information on that is also on our website. There's a lot of information about application deadlines and all the documents you need to send to us and the deadlines for sending these documents. So you can find a definite answer on our website.
Okay, thank you. Then I think that was our last question for today. Larissa, do you have any more questions?
No, and the questions that I did have are already answered. I think they, yeah. So, no more questions.
For presentation, and then maybe Marielle can say something to the students.
Well, thanks all for attending, of course, for listening to us, for having some patience with the Q&A button. And I hope that you will contact us if you have any more questions left. And I wish you very much good luck with making your final decisions about this. Have a very nice evening.